This is a voting meeting of the Prescott City Council. I want to thank everybody that's come today to join with us and look at some of the issues that are facing Prescott. Do you have any introductions, Pro Tem?
Well, I'd like to introduce everybody out there personally, but you know, we got an agenda to stick to, so no.
Okay, fine. We have invocation today by Eric Miller of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilman Lizelle.
Our Father, who art in heaven, we are grateful this evening that we can come together in the capacity of a city council meeting, and we pray thy blessings to be upon this gathering. We pray for the Spirit of the Holy Ghost to be here. We pray for these men and women who serve on the city council and our mayor, for their willingness to be guided and directed and to seek to find common ground within our community and to make decisions that are for the best of all in our community. We are grateful to have the privilege and the blessing of living in this wonderful community of Prescott, Arizona. We love thee, Father, and we pray for these things in the sacred name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please help join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Oberg.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lamerson.
Here.
Councilman Blair.
Here.
Councilman Lizelle.
Here.
Councilwoman Orr is absent excused. Councilman Shiska.
Here.
Councilwoman Wilcox.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. City Manager, do you have any announcements?
I have no announcements for the meeting, Mayor.
We have one proclamation, and I'll ask Councilman Blair to present.
Mayor, I'm not sure why you asked me to present this, but be glad to do it. Anybody here from Teen Dating and Violence? Oh, Chief's up here.
Ask my victim advocate, Michelle Medina, to join us, please. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a proclamation, Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month, February 2016. Whereas youth of Prescott are this city's most precious resource, greatest hope for the future, and ensuring their safety, well-being, positive development, and growth into healthy citizens is priority and responsibility we all share. And whereas the transitional adolescence year presents new challenges and choices for teens as they experience dating relationships for the first time. And whereas teen dating violence, including physical, verbal, emotional abuse, sexual assault, and harassment via texting, email, or instant messaging is a reality for many teenagers in Prescott, and is a reality of which many parents and caregivers are unaware. And whereas studies also indicate that effects of violent relationships can be serious and put victims at higher risk for substance abuse, eating disorders, risky sexual behavior, suicidal and adult re-victimization, and whereas both houses of Congress have declared February as National Teen Violence Awareness Prevention Month. Now therefore I, Harry B. Oberg, Mayor of the City of Prescott, do hereby recognize February 2016 as Teen Dating Violence Awareness Prevention Month. Thanks for being here.
Mayor, Council, thank you so much for your support with this proclamation, and also for your support for the grant that we applied for a victim advocate. Tonight, our business manager, Michelle Medina, will have the opportunity to introduce that victim advocate to you and to the audience, and the steps we'll take to reduce teen dating violence. So with that, I'd like to turn the mic over to Michelle Medina.
Thank you, Chief. Mayor and Council, thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for recognizing February as Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. As the Chief said, in December, you guys did accept the grant funding through the Department of Public Safety Victims of Crime Act for us to hire a victim advocate. And shortly after that acceptance, HR posted the position. We had 82 applicants apply for that. One of those applicants was an internal City of Prescott employee. Through that process, we interviewed 8 candidates, and our internal candidate was top out of those 8. So I'm very pleased to announce Amy Knight is our new victim advocate, and she comes to us from the Prescott Regional Communication Center, and we're very excited to see what she has in store to bring this program and just complement the services the police department already provides to our community. So Amy?
Mayor and council, it's indeed a great honor for me to be standing up here and to be a part of this illustrious team. As everyone knows, the police department sets a standard of excellence, so I have some very big shoes to fill. I just wanted to give you a brief overview and some of the goals of the Victim Services Department and my position specifically. Obviously, any victim of a crime is what our ultimate goal will be, and the outreach will be. We are going to start with victims of violent crimes, victims that are truly on the scale, needing our services immediately, not something that can be tabled for a while. With that being said, having this month recognized for teen dating violence will definitely fall under that scope. As the proclamation read, this is our future, and we have to protect these kids. We've got to give them the healthy outlets that they need and show them really the path of walking the right steps through the course into adulthood. It's a crime that's gone horribly underreported. It's becoming very higher statistically. The red flags are waving. So having this month, having this as part of our initial goal set, we're really excited about being able to undertake this and going to do some really great things for our community.
Welcome aboard.
Okay, we have 3 presentations. First one, please.
Presentation A, presentation on the exposure of downwinders to radiation from government nuclear testing and federal regulation for equitable relief by Sherry Hanna.
Good evening, Mayor Oberg and City Council. First, I would like to thank the Mayor and City for allowing me to come up here and do my presentation. When I first approached Mayor Oberg about the downwinders, and I asked him if if it would be all right if I gave my presentation to the council and hopefully pass a resolution supporting the downwinders bill that is currently in the House and Senate. He was very willing to do so. He himself being a downwinder, and I know there are several other council members that are downwinders or who have people in their family that are downwinders. So before I give my presentation, I just wanted to show us a 5-minute video to kind of let everybody know exactly what the downwinders is, and give a little bit of history for that. As the Cold War intensified and the arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union escalated at a shocking pace, the need for more information regarding nuclear weapons became apparent. On December 18, 1950, President Harry Truman approved the nuclear proving ground, the Nevada Test Site, which was 65 miles northwest of Las Vegas, Nevada. The barren testing range carved out of the Mojave Desert would be home for the next several decades to 928 of the 1,054 above and below ground nuclear experiments conducted by the United States government. The testing finally ended in September 1992 when a moratorium went into effect. Before the moratorium, mushroom clouds were a familiar sight from the Las Vegas Strip. In 1962, President John F. Kennedy visited the Nevada Test Site. He has been the only sitting president to do so. In 1963, President Kennedy and Soviet President Nikita Khrushchev signed a treaty that required the superpowers to conduct nuclear experiments underground. This historic treaty banned nuclear testing in the air, oceans, or space. The first nuclear experiment in Nevada lit up the desert sky on January 27, 1951. The radioactive fallout blanketed not only the arid desert, but farm fields, homes, schools, factories, and businesses across the region. The wind carried contamination throughout parts of Arizona, Nevada, and Utah. People living in the affected areas were known as downwinders. From 1945 to 1962, the United States government conducted hundreds of nuclear tests which exposed citizens to radiation. Employees in the uranium mining industry were also exposed to toxic levels of radiation. In 1990, Congress passed the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act as an apology to individuals who developed certain cancers and other serious diseases related to nuclear weapons testing and uranium mining. Victims or their surviving family members are awarded amounts from $50,000 to $100,000. Free cancer screenings are available to qualified individuals. Thank you. Before we go any further, I did want to recognize we do have Jeremiah Cota here today, who represents Congressman Gosar's office here in Prescott. So I did want Jeremiah to stand and be recognized. Thank you. In July 29th, 2015, House Bill 3345 and Senate Bill 1895 was introduced. This bipartisan bill, better known as the Radiation Compensation Act of 2015, would amend the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, better known as RECA, to include that portion of Mojave County, Arizona, and that portion of Clark County, Nevada, omitted under the RECA Act. And if you look at the map here, you can see the red area shows the areas that are covered under the downwinders, and you can see part of Mojave County is in red and the other half is in white. Part of Clark County, Nevada is in red and the other part of Clark County is in white. So what these bills are put before Congress and the Senate to do is to bring those portions of Mojave County and Clark County, Nevada that were left out of the original Compensation Act. Several bills have been presented before and they've all failed. I think this time there is a bipartisan bill. Congressman Gosar from Arizona, Republican, Trent Franks, Republican, Arizona, Mark Amati, Republican, Nevada, Ann Kirkpatrick, Democrat, Arizona, and Kirsten Sinema, Democrat, Arizona, are all sponsoring the bill. So we feel like there's a good chance this time it might make it through. So what I'm asking here today is to pass a resolution to have the Prescott City Council support these bills. We have resolutions from Yavapai County Board of Supervisors, the Mojave County Board of Supervisors, the City of Lake Havasu, and the City of Kingman have all submitted letters of support or resolutions for these bills. All the resolutions and letters of support will be attached to the original bills when they do come up for committee. And the committees that will be viewing these bills will be the Senate Judiciary Committee. The Honorable Chuck Grassley is chairman. The Honorable Patrick Leahy is ranking member. The House Ways and Means Committee, the Honorable Paul Ryan, chairman. The Honorable Sander Levine, ranking member. And the House Judiciary Committee, the Honorable Bob Goodlight, chairman, and the Honorable John Conyers, the ranking member. Along with the bill, these resolutions will be attached, and each committee and their members will review them and see that the towns and who the mayors and the city councils have given their personal support to help pass this bill. So if you choose later on to vote to pass the resolution supporting this bill, just wanted to let you know how far it's going to be, and it'll be attached and made a permanent part of the bill. So I just wanted to thank everyone for allowing me to come here and do my presentation. Is there any questions that anybody has?
Just excuse me. Thank you, Mayor. Sure, I just wanted to thank you. Until you were on Steve's show, I had no idea this was going on. So thanks for your work and making the awareness out there for everyone to understand what the problem is.
Yeah, thank you. And I know every time I go on Steve's show, he has such a large audience. I get such great support. And I did want to show a chart. If you can see the chart on the end, it shows the years of compensation. The lighter areas in the bottom are downwinders. The darker areas above are the on-site participants, people that worked in the mines or in the mills or worked on-site, the uranium minings. And in 2011, the AARP magazine published an article on the downwinders. So you can see, after they published that the next year, 2012, 13, and 14, the rise in claims because people were made more aware of what's going on, and a lot of people still don't know that. So every time I go and talk to a group, or if I'm on the radio or whatever, I get phone calls and people see me and they stop and say, wow, I need the information on this. So I just want to thank you again for letting me come before you and give my presentation.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Sherry, echoing Greg's words, thank you very much for taking up a battle. Your husband, who is a wonderful human being, who defended people that never even met him, never even knew him, died of something that he couldn't take care of the battle himself. Thank you for taking this on.
Thank you. Well, thank you. And I have such great support. It's nice when you have a Congressman Gosar, and his staff have worked very hard and are very accessible. The support they give me is great. Whenever I call back to Washington or here in Prescott, I always get a call back, or when I can go in there, they always see me. So it's nice to have that cooperation, have that visibility.
Thank you very much. It's
Thank
not
you.
a partisan issue.
No, it's not.
It is
Cancer
not a
doesn't
partisan
discriminate.
issue.
No.
And thank you for working with both sides of the aisle to
thank
bring
you.
it to the floor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Okay, our second presentation.
Item B, Police Explorer Competition Update presented by the Police Department.
Mayor, City Council, it is a great honor tonight to have Sergeant Ben Scott, our Explorer advisors, and many members of our Explorer group have an opportunity to present to this council some recent results from an Explorer competition that they participated in. And sir, with your permission, if I could turn the mic over to Sergeant Ben Scott, the leader of this group. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager. Thanks for giving us an opportunity to take up your valuable time. I've been involved with Explorers for a number of years, and every year it's more and more fun. Makes me feel a lot older, so I appreciate that, by the way. But we again had the opportunity to go to a tactical competition, and one of the Explorers put together a 3-minute video for all of you guys to take a look at. I want you to keep in mind that this is a tactical competition, so it's designed to build teamwork and to test these groups of young people, give them scenarios, and they have to get through it. I can tell you as an outsider watching that, how that all plays out. Our little Prescott team, we sent eight Explorers this time, how they stack up with agencies from across the country. And they perform and they do very well. I'm proud of, they'll bring back trophies, which are great. That's not what it's all about, but to see how the teamwork, and then when you're teaching these, I'll refer to them as young people, how to do some of these skills, and to watch them from the first time we work on some of this, and they're horrible. And then they start to get the concept, and then they start catching on, and then it's a really pretty neat transition. So when we show this video, please take it for what it's worth and get a chance to see what they're faced with, and they're performing at a young age under stress, and they do very, very well. Mike, this is Mike Shishka and Josh Dillenbeck. Both of them went through our Explorer program, so we're lucky to have them.
I'll have to ask you to excuse me. I've been a little sick, so my voice is a little raspy. Like he said, I'm Officer Michael Shishka. I'm the lead advisor for the Explorer program. And both Officer Dillenbeck and I are in a unique circumstance in that we went through this as Explorers, and now we're doing it as advisors. And it's very rewarding on both sides. And this year, this was the 16th annual tactical competition in Chandler. It is the 6th competition that Prescott has attended with Chandler. And this year there was 55 Explorer posts from all over the United States. The furthest away was from Illinois. There were over 850 Explorers competing. So to have, 8 young people from Prescott go and compete and come back with 4 trophies, it's, I'm extremely proud of them. They worked very hard. We worked very hard to train them. Officer Dillenbeck, do you want to talk about the 4 trophies they got?
This year we brought home 4 trophies. 2 of them were basically just single man events. We had one of our explorers got 3rd in the pistol shoot competition. So out of all those posts, 2 members were selected to do a pistol shoot competition. So out of all those posts, he got 3rd out of everybody. We also had one person who, Sheridan Fisher, he took 1st place in an obstacle course. Basically, it was a test of agility. You had to run through tires, scale walls, go over a balance beam, do, just a whole bunch of different things. And yeah, he actually took 1st in that. We also took 1st place in Hogan's Alley, which is a simulated shoot house. There's 28 targets throughout the entire house. Some are shoot targets, some are no shoot targets, so they had to identify the target, take care of the threat if it was a threat, or if it was a good person, just give them commands to show them their hands. And then we also took 3rd place in an event called TEMS, which is Tactical Emergency Medical Support. You're basically in a situation of you need to go in there. We had 2 victims. You have to address them medically, and if they are savable, you have to tactically remove them from the scene after taking care of them. They had a bleed or something like that, you had to take care of them that way. So those are the events that we took trophies home in.
I bet you guys need some more trophy cases.
Yeah.
I know you do. I will commit my next council salary paycheck to help finance those trophy cases.
Yeah, thanks. They all wind up in my little area, so that would be nice. Anyway, let's take a look at this. Ryan Sissions, put this together for you guys. It's really awesome, just so you know.
Ben, while he's working, you want to show?
It was working when it started.
Show the trophies.
Yeah, do you guys want to bring up the trophies? Come on up.
Very cool. Good job. Sorry, the computer decided it needed a reboot for some reason.
I think they need you up here, Mike.
Mayor, while they're booting that up, these are all future police officers for the city of Prescott.
Here,
We're
here.
very, very proud of that.
Chief, is there any chance we can host a competition like this here?
We certainly can consider that, Councilmember. Absolutely.
800 people goes in.
Yes, sir.
Mackenzie, do you want to introduce these guys to the council?
Thank you for having us, first off. This is Ryan Sissons. He is the creator of the video that we're presenting to you. This is Corporal Erica Gustafson. I'm Mackenzie Scott. I'm the Explorer Sergeant. This is Clinton Colbert. He is one of our explorers as well. This is Robert Robertson and Corporal Nathaniel Trujillo. So thank you again for having us.
Ben, is that your daughter?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I think it's wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Councilman Blair, the other thing that the police department and Yavapai College have worked and put together an internship so that We can get people that are interested in law enforcement going through like the criminal justice program through Yavapai College. Yavapai College is a big supporter of, here I'm speaking for Yavapai College, I don't mean to, but a big supporter for internships. So actually McKinsey is the first student to start in that program.
Oh, good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You guys all attend Prescott High? No, sir. No. Okay. I don't need, I just wanted
They're from the underground.
Sorry, it's a very large video. We're going to have to go out to YouTube. I just got to get the system reboot again.
Is this Windows 10?
No.
6 3/4.
Yes.
Got it. Don't worry about it. What? Yeah, don't worry about it.
Again, Mayor, Council, thank you very much for your time. Sorry about the delay in the video. But thank you.
No problem.
Ben, it's not your fault, it's Mark's.
Yeah.
Thanks for introducing your fine folks to us, and we appreciate the presentation. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, this tall officer that helped out with the video, that's my nephew, Michael.
I was wondering.
Okay, at this time, we'll go to the third presentation.
Item C, presentation by the Kiwanis Club of Prescott regarding Kayla Mueller Helping Hands Park.
Mayor Oberg, council people, what a tough act to follow. I just no way I can top that. My name is Gary Ballard. I am the president of the Kiwanis Club. My intention is to help you understand how this process got started, how far it's gone, and where it's going. The pictures that Carl is putting up for you, that's where it's going. You have copies of these in front of you. How it got started, in March of 2015, Carl was invited to speak to a Kiwanis Club in Farmington, New Mexico. Linda and I went along with him as support. During Carl's talk, he said something that hit me so hard, I can never forget it. He said, "We have no body, we have no grave, we have no marker." On the trip back to Prescott, Linda and I talked about it, and we said we have to find some way to honor Kayla and what she's done. In May of 2015, LSI International Landscape Structures, along with Kiwanis International, started a contest to win a $25,000 playground. We said, that's it. That's how we can honor this young lady. We entered the contest, and I wasn't sure where to put the thing if we were successful. I went to the Parks and Rec Department and talked to Steve Mancha and Kelly Tolbert. Kelly Tolbert is a licensed playground inspector. And Steve said, why don't we put it at Pioneer Park? It doesn't have a playground now, except for 2 to 5-year-olds. Let's see if you're successful. We'll put one in for 5 to 12-year-olds. Well, it turned out that was the perfect place for it, but we were not successful. Oneida, Illinois was successful. The Kiwanis Club Board of Directors decided that we would take on this project, that we would try and raise the funds to build this playground. That was in August of 2015. In September of 2015, we completed phase 1. We raised $80,000 for the equipment. During this time, we had many, many meetings and presentations trying to raise funds for this playground. Some of the people that we talked to said, you know, there's not one piece of equipment that the city has in a playground that's wheelchair accessible. Aha. The surface you see on the desk in front of you, the little tubes, that's called poured in place. You can run a wheelchair over it. So after we realized that this surface was available, the playground began to expand exponentially. We're now up to 6,000 square feet from our original 2,000. A lot of the people that have donated money have children who are in wheelchairs, and they are so grateful. If you go to YouTube or to Facebook, you can see their comments. We're so glad we have a place to take our children and play. In November of 2015, we selected LSI, Landscape Structures, as the supplier of this equipment because we felt like They have the best product out of all the manufacturers that are on the market. We went down to Peoria, Illinois, and looked at several different playgrounds by different manufacturers, and we selected LSI. January of 2016, we finally finished selecting the different play elements thanks to Carl and Marcia Mueller. As of January the 16th, we have raised so far $168,000. The first $27,000 came from our club. That's basically my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions or comments?
I do, Mayor. You know, at this point, you've raised, where are you at in the fundraising? The equipment, you have enough money for the equipment?
We have enough money for the equipment, yes. Because the playground grew so large and the poured-in-place material is fairly expensive, we need about another $51,000 approximately.
And that's to provide this?
That's to provide the fall surface, correct.
And hence the reason why I asked that in the earlier meeting today be updated on the impact fee funds from the Parks and Recreation Department. Right now we have sitting in that balance $728,536. I would suggest that maybe our council might want to, at the next agenda meeting, think about using $51,000 to go towards the completion of this regional park. That would bring it all together. I think that you know, we have the money sitting there in an impact fee. Certainly the number of houses that are being raised in the city of Prescott has an impact on our parks and recreation. And to do the right thing, as far as I'm concerned, to help this cause out would be something with maybe this council should look at.
As a second council member, I'd like to see that on the agenda.
Thank you.
Noted.
If it pleases the council, I'd like to introduce Carl Mueller to say a couple of words about what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Mr. Mayor and Council, thanks for seeing us today. I appreciate being able to do this.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. First of all, I think I'd like to address what this park will mean to our family. I don't think I need to elaborate on that. I think you can understand how important it will be. We just live over there at the base of Granite Mountain. Could literally walk to this playground. We pass the site every time we go to Fry's. So that'll be a wonderful thing. The second, of course, is the value to the city. The city will gain a park that's going to be $260,000. And as Joe called it, when we first showed him the equipment, a destination playground. The location, Pioneer Park, is an excellent location. The existing playground there is geared for 2 to 5 year olds. And it's only accessible when the ball fields are reserved and open because it's locked up inside. This site will allow the playground to be accessible at all times without having it to have to be reserved. Plus, the site, I don't know if you're all familiar with the site. I think we included a little site plan here. You can see where Commerce Drive comes by the skate park, and the site is pointed out by the arrow on that chart there. But there will be restroom facilities at the hockey rink. There was a recently $250,000 parking improvement at that site. The lighting's already in place, and the park will be very accessible and visible from Commerce Drive. As you know, the Pioneer Park is one of the busiest facilities in town, hosting adult sports leagues, youth soccer, youth football, youth and adult hockey, various tournaments, and special events. Every one of these groups can benefit from this destination playground. So I would just like you to consider this, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll take any questions. We do have some specialists here from the playground manufacturer and also the poured-in-place floor, if you have questions for them.
Well, I'd like to ask Joe Baines a question. From my standpoint, I've always been very keen and probably very vocal on maintenance to our park system as well as the trails. When we start talking about this port and place service, my understanding is that there's very little maintenance to that. Would that be a true statement?
Councilman Blair, that's correct. The overall maintenance to that is really just a matter of a person going by there once a week or so and either blowing or hosing off the surface. So it's definitely a lot less maintenance than the wood chips, which tend to migrate. So really, we did have some input into some of the selection of the equipment in order to keep those maintenance costs in mind, and we certainly did that. The plans are not approved. They haven't been gone through the building department and all that, but basically it's a very low maintenance park.
Okay, so you as the director of Parks and Recreation would recommend this surface highly because it's less maintenance overall for the Parks and Recreation?
Absolutely. It's got a 20-year warranty on it.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Any other comments? Well, thank you for the presentation. Just be aware that we are bringing this up at the next meeting. And
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Consent agenda item 1A, adoption of resolution number 4317-1526, supporting the bipartisan bills introduced by Senator John McCain and Congressman Paul Gosar to ensure equitable relief for downwinders exposure to radiation from government nuclear testing. Item B, adoption of ordinance number 4963-1501, an ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the City of Prescott, Yavapai County, Arizona, authorizing the granting of a utility easement to Arizona Public Service Company, an Arizona corporation, and authorizing the mayor and staff to execute any and all documents to effectuate said easement. And item C, approval of amendment number 1 to city contract number 2015-042A1, a base hospital agreement with Yavapai Regional Medical Center, YRMC, and General Fund.
Okay, does the council have any comments? Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Ryan.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
Mayor, I move to approve consent items 1A through 1C.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 6-0.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to our regular agenda, and we have one voting item.
Item 2A, adoption of resolution number 4316-1525 in support of House Bill 2107, Structured Sober Living Bill.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item is on the agenda today related to House Bill 2107. That is the bill that Representative Noel Campbell is working through the legislature related to structured sober living. As was suggested at a prior council meeting, I believe by Mayor Pro Tem Lamerson, this is a resolution that talks about the issue as it is faced by Prescott. I think the other important thing to note is that it talks about some of the issues that were raised in the ad hoc committee from the summer. That committee did deem this issue a matter of statewide concern and had recommendations for how to move forward with legislation that would address the issue, which is the legislation that is in the House right now. It also references the League resolution, which is a resolution through a policy process of all 91 cities and towns in Arizona. Again, pointing out that this is not a Prescott issue, this is a statewide issue that requires legislative action. So with that, and just again pointing out that any chance I have to talk about legislation twice in one day at a council meeting, I will take it. And I know that Mayor Pro Tem Lamerson loves to see me twice in one day. So I would take any questions that you might have.
Okay, do I have any comments or questions from the council?
I do, Mr. Mayor. Allison, it certainly seems like it's a great situation until you get to the point where we're going to have to come up with a city plan to regulate these homes. Do you get the feeling that the health department didn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole?
Councilman Sishka, I think it was clear with the bill from the last legislative session, the testimony from the Department of Health Services didn't say no and hell no, but they said politely no and hell no. So I think it's very clear that this is our best bet right now to take it to the local level. That is what the ad hoc committee this summer suggested, is that would be, the best first start, and I think probably our best chance legislatively of having something move forward at this point in time. So,
and what seemed to be the objections, because we didn't get a clean vote going out of the House committee, what seemed to be the objections to local control of these structured living homes?
Councilman Sishka, this has been the same objection that we've heard from industry representatives in the past, is that they have concerns that this is somehow going to infringe upon the rights of what is considered a disabled class by the Federal Housing Act. I think that Barry Aarons was very eloquent in his testimony on behalf of the city at the committee hearing, where he pointed out that this has absolutely no impact on an individual that would be living in the home. It doesn't prevent you from renting a home. It doesn't prevent you from living with, other like-minded individuals that want to stay clean and sober. It is a regulation, a health and safety regulation on the operator of a home, and it doesn't prevent the location where the home can be. It doesn't, have any impact on zoning. What it has an impact on is creating a registration, and then also permissively for a city or a town having some very basic standards of care in a structured sober living home, as defined as having 35% or more individuals that are in behavioral health outpatient treatment. So not a traditional situation where you decide to enter into a lease with a number of your friends and live together and try to stay sober together, but where you are particularly in a living situation directly related to being in outpatient treatment. So I think there are significant distinctions that can be made. However, when there are two sides to a story, the other side's going to try to tell their side, and the side that they're saying is that this, they feel that this would be an infringement on their rights as a disabled class to locate somewhere.
Thank you for your work down there, by the way.
Sure.
Allison, I guess this would be a good argument that it's just like regulations on assisted living homes. I mean, they're not against the people that are getting the care. They're to make sure that those homes are caring for them properly.
Yes, Councilman Lazell, that's a very good point. If you read through all of the rules and all of the statutes relative to Health and Human Services, the state agency, there are quite a number of group homes that house individuals in the protected disabled class, those with, perhaps a serious mental health issue, a developmental delay, or a physical disability, and those homes are all regulated through the Department of Health Services in some manner that is far excessive to what this bill is suggesting a city, town, or county would be able to implement.
Any other comments, questions? Any comment for the public?
Hi, Mayor, Council, Barbara Jacobson, Prescott, Arizona. I have one concern. I haven't read this new bill, and I know you just mentioned local control is possible. I don't know how much, but the concern relates to our own resources being taxed. I work through CCJ, Coalition for Compassion and Justice, down at Open Door a couple of mornings a week, and I have noticed that we have been inundated with young, mostly male, but sometimes female people who probably are living in these group homes, who come in because the group homes are set up, and I would hope this would be a consideration if you did have some local control. The group homes are set up where they pay a high amount of rent, is my understanding, and they live there and they go to AA meetings. They're not therapy. They're not getting therapy for the most part, but they don't feed them. And in assisted living kinds of places or homes of that sort, they have to feed them. These young people, for the most part, are not fed. And in this town, we are fortunate enough to have a hot meal, I think, every day of the week now, and sometimes 2 times a day. And then they can get sandwiches, and at Open Door, they can get 8 pantry items a week. They can get personal care items a couple times a week. They can get a government commodities food box once a month. And now they're starting to tap into the clothing vouchers, too, to get free clothing. We have people who really need this stuff. I'm not saying they don't need it, but these young men are hungry, and they eat a lot. And they are tapping our resources. I don't know if they're tapping into St. Vincent de Paul. There's another little food supply place in town. And yeah, I think that, and the Baptist Church feeds on Mondays. So I know they know how to get around, and they're using a lot of resources. My concern would be, can these homes be asked to feed their clients? We would call them clients or residents, or we've been struggling with that recently. And personally, I'm getting kind of cranky about it because there's little food to go around some months. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll look into it.
I just thought I'd point out there's one day in particular that there's 4 meals. There's 4 days where there's 3 meals, and once every month there's a second day that's 4 meals. So we like to call this the town where the homeless go to get fat. But definitely the recovery homes are beginning to strain the resources that we have for serving our homeless veterans and just our homeless people in general. And a lot of the people that we help aren't even homeless. They're just struggling to pay the rent instead of buying the food. And you know, these recovery homes are putting a real strain on the system. Also, I can't tell you how many times I'll be at Fry's or someplace and these people from the recovery homes come in with their big vans. A lot of these people are not well behaved. And you know, it's really putting a lot of pressure on our wonderful little town. Anything we can do to rein the problem in is a good thing.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any further comments from the council? If not, I'd like to get a motion.
Mayor, I'd move to adopt resolution number 4316-1525.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Vote, please.
Passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Okay. Before I close, as I've done in the past, since I've taken over as mayor, I'd like to help us remember some of the things that our founding fathers have said about government in general. And of course, the two that I have today concern going in debt. And you know, we have debt both at the city level, the state level, and nationally. And I know that these two people, Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, were talking primarily about national debt because they just come through the Revolutionary War, which we had a tremendous amount of debt built up. Anyway, Thomas Jefferson said the principle of spending money to be paid by posterity, or in the name of funding, is but swindling the future on a large scale. And George Washington said, if ever again our nation stumbles upon unfunded paper, meaning basically debt that you don't have anything to back it up with, it shall surely be the death of our body politic. This country will crash. Thank you for coming tonight, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.